So I'll tell you my favourite joke about engineers. How do you know when you've met an extrovert engineer? He's looking at your shoes. Yeah, so I want to thank ECHO, of course, and most of all the funders for this project. They've allowed us to come, they've allowed us to recruit staff, they've allowed us to travel here today, so that's Global Affairs Canada, and the Fund for Innovation and Transformation, FIT. Without them, of course, we would not be here. I mean, obviously, Emmanuel International wouldn't be here because we've been in Tanzania since 1994 as an organisation, mostly working in Iringa. So our Iringa team, please stand up. We've got Emmanuel and Jessica. They are very faithfully working. You can read some more of the work that they are doing in Iringa on the posters at the back to the Imarika project. We have an office in Tanga, which was only started 2 years ago. So where are our Tanga team? We have Edward and Joshua. So again, they are new to this whole eco world and agricultural projects. And then we have our Mwanza team, which is currently the biggest team. It used to be Iringa, but now Mwanza team. How many do we have here? 4 or 5. Peter, Alicia, Justina, Eunice, and Judith. So I'm a missionary, but I also wear the engineer hat, so I kind of consult within the team to kind of find good ways of turning what we learn at conferences like this. ECHO is so important to our work. And I think above all, today, we're not doing massive programs, $1 million programs, we're doing bottom-up. We're doing grassroots, and that's what Emmanuel International is. Our tagline is partnering with churches to strengthen their community. Okay? So you might not see big numbers today, you might not see excellent research, but I want to share with you as a testimony to what ECHO has done in the life of Emmanuel International. The way that we've taken hold of a little thing, like Abraham was saying earlier, it's a buffet. Just take one thing, go and run with it. And that's what this project that I want to share with you today, the Kwetu project, summarizes what we've done over the last few years. So we have three church partners here in Tanzania. We have the Tanzania Assemblies of God in Mwanza and Tanga, and the Anglican Diocese of Ruaha in Iringa, also the Pentecostal Holiness Mission in Iringa. The church defines Emmanuel International. Without them, we have nothing. Well, especially in Tanzania, we're not even registered as an organisation. I work for TAG officially, and our other staff are all employed and recruited from within the churches. So wherever we have an office, our staff are identified by the local bishops. They are excellent people, we've never had any problems with them, and we love working with them. And it's the testimony to what can happen when you go bottom up, from the community, from the local church, find them, build them up, let them run. I always say that they are the true missionaries. For sure, that is the work that they are doing. Our approach to defining and understanding the needs, it's really good to hear the Helping Hertz guideline, the ABCD, because that's what we try and do. Participatory workshops, asset-based research, to try and help. It doesn't always work, especially with funders looking for specific goals and targets, but to try and understand the real needs, to listen before we speak. And we did some preliminary research for this fund, where we met with groups of mostly women and discussed their needs and their desires, and there was a real desire for pesticide-free farming. Many of you can testify to that. It's like nobody wants to eat, once you know about it, nobody wants to eat food that's had dowry, that's had medicine, that's had chemicals on it. What we also discovered, obviously, we work in Sukumaland, where there are strong cultural barriers to women making any progress agriculturally. Obviously, the women do most of the work agriculturally, women and the children, but the men, They hold all the cards. They stop access to land ownership. They make all of the financial decisions in the household. So it was really eye-opening to us. And again, it's through the work of this preliminary work that we discovered what we were going to do with this project. So Kwetu hubs, this is what they are called. Kituo cha wakulima na elimu ya technology kwa urahisi. Try and make an acronym out of appropriate technology. Try and make an acronym out of farmers. So this stands for, I'm going to translate it back, Center for Farmers and for Education about easy, simple, basic, appropriate technology. Okay. So why? Why are we doing this? So the funders gave us a fantastic opportunity to try out an innovation, risk-free. Okay, so we applied for the grant. They liked the idea. They trusted us, which was great. And we came up with the concept, and it was only 10 months funding project. 10 months. What can you do in 10 months agriculturally? Nothing. But you can start chipping away. You can start finding staff, training staff, finding local partners, building them up with the view to hopefully getting more funding or more inspiration, finding local leaders who want to carry this forward. This is the brand that we came up with, that we call Carrot. So, as a result of, so this is a little bit more about kind of how we work as EI, Emmanuel International. We find a local partner. As I said, we exist because the church exists. We are parachurch, or we are under the church. We go where they want us to go. And in Mwanza, that's the TAG, and that's where this project is focused. We find local service providers to build each other up, and that was one of the main important things of this fund, was that we were to link up with local partners and build them up. Give them the chance to develop work, to develop curriculum. So we were so lucky to find OWL, which is the Action for Women Organization, which is a local CBO run by a fantastic director, Catherine, and her team. And I think this is possibly their first real step into making a name for themselves. So look out for them in the future. They are based in Mwanza at the moment, but I'm sure they'll be happy to partner. We'll talk more about it later. Simi Solar, that's a bit more of a well-established national company. I think it's American in its origins, I'm not sure. But they have a local office in Mwanza, and they provide pumps and solar panels and just consultation about getting things working off-grid. And then Thrive, which is a Canadian organisation which has an office in Kenya, in Kwetu, and through various conversations we hooked up with them to be able to teach an organic farming curriculum. I'm very happy that there are so many excellent resources within Tanzania, like SAT, we heard from yesterday. I think for sure we want to reach out and partner with more local options going forward. Another very important aspect of our work is to find persons of peace in the community. And depending on what we're working in, like, you can't just fly in, dump the project, fly out. We want to find somebody who can be a representative, carry the vision, be involved in defining what that vision is, and who knows the community, who knows all the government procedures in that community. And for us, in this specific project, this was for pastors of our local churches, and women that we identified to kind of be like lead farmers. It's difficult to find a lead farmer when you haven't actually done any agricultural work. Again, 10 months you're trying something. So we found 3 female master trainers in 3 locations across the Mwanza region. So one of the big aims of the funder and the project is to be gender transformational. I'm sure there are experts in the room who are well versed in all of the lingo and the keywords. This is something that's been amazing for us because as Emmanuel International, we generally don't have that level of expertise in many of the areas that we're working in. Because we're working kind of bottom up, we want to be able to obviously bring in experts when we can. So to find people like Owl, and then also to, the Canadian government actually has really good gender resources free to access, so all of our staff have then went through online training. So just to get to understand what and why we're talking about gender, because it's such a confusing issue, especially in the Tanzanian concept when they're thinking about gender. Oh, that's LGBT stuff, or oh, we can't have any of that. Oh, that's women's right. What about the men? That's what we experienced. What is gender in Sukumaland for the women smallholder farmers that we are working with? So this is how we went about it. Know your audience. So the people you want to serve, affect, influence, and empower. Who are they? Define who they are. And then walk a mile in their shoes. Go and find them, go and spend some time in their villages, and that's what our staff are really good at doing. Just sitting down and spending time. And that's often missed, I think, in the bigger programs, that time spent with the individuals who are benefiting. We go in, we do monitoring and evaluation, we do questionnaires, we do focus groups, but just go and sit and have chai with them. That's how we've learned most of our things, I think. So you know your audience, but then also know your enemy. Do your research really well. We were required to do what they call a rapid gender scan, an in-depth gender scan, to really find all of the underlying historical, traditional things that are active and happening today around the gender aspect. So we've got cultural inequalities. I'm sure all of you know from your own experience. But then also asking that digging a little bit deeper, what's actually stopping progress, what's stopping, especially women and girls in our situation from progressing, especially in the agricultural or the domestic situation. We've got weeds, spiritual weeds, physical weeds, emotional, psychological weeds, strangling these people. Poor inputs, perceptions and prejudice. As I said, so this is kind of specifically what our audience and what our enemies are. We're working in Wasukuma areas, Zinza, lots of other tribes that move around. It's the lake zone, so people come for fishing. And all of the trades that are associated with fishing. There's also a lot of farmers as well. That's that. And then the enemies in our area were male dominance in decision making, cultural land ownership issues, perceptions and prejudice, especially ignorance around what is the law. Like, can a woman own land? Really? I didn't know that. Why didn't you tell us that, husband? Those kind of conversations are really interesting to kind of hear and sit in. Food security is obviously a big issue. So what was our approach? Lifting up women. We wanted to do what was countercultural. We wanted to empower women. Put women in a nurturing environment where leadership skills can develop. We felt it was really important that we recruited women to work with women. So we had 3 staff, Eunice, Judith and Mariam, all again selected from local churches, all with very different levels of expertise and experience. And then to see them working with these 9 women in the 3 locations, that was fantastic. So much has happened in 10 months. These master trainers, they had to be a certain level of workable we couldn't just work with anybody, so we spent a bit of time talking and praying and working with the local pastor and finding the right people. And then once we did, mentor them. Spend that time with them. Understand help them to understand what we're trying to do, equip them with all that they need to do their job. In our case, it was smartphones and data, smartphones and enough money to make calls and to access the internet. We used data collection tools, Global Collect, which is free, and we, by the end now, we're at the 10th month now. We've got a number of those village women are actually able to go and do a lot of our monitoring and evaluation for us, which is a bonus. Brilliant. They've, over the last few months, they've got up to speed using touch screens, using the data collection, running interviews and things like that. And that's the last point again. Trust us to do the work. Trust us to go and report to us. We have a WhatsApp group. Every day they post pictures, they post updates of numbers of people they visited, number of farms that they've helped to start and work with. Women's empowerment, and again, I'm sure there's experts here who will look at this and think, ooh, cringe. But with us, we have to come up with some kind of metric to help us track if we're having any impact over the 10 months. And so we just have a list of 8 questions. 8? Yes, 8 questions which we asked at the beginning to all of the participants. There were 300 participants in total. About 75% women and 5% men. These are the questions, but they're all about decision making. Can a woman make decisions in the household? Can a woman be a leader of the family? Can a woman own a business and be decisive with her income? Can a woman hold leadership positions in various fields? Obviously, we have a female president, which obviously most of them say, well, yeah, obviously we can. Can a woman get a loan from a financial institution? Do the men of this village allow the partners to participate in development activities? Can the community allow a woman do the men in this community allow a woman to own land? And do women have the opportunity to make decisions about money? So at the end, I'll show you the change in perception. So basically, if you answered yes to that, you got 1 point. So there's a total out of 8. It's basically a very simple metric of testing that. We have a similar one for food security. It's the FAS scale. Obviously, one of the big aims of this innovation trial was to empower women. And so how are we going to do that on a village scale? Training both men and women to understand and reflect on their cultural practices and prejudices. To hear the evidence from our research. This is what is happening in your village. Do you agree with that? Is that actually happening? So that's where our gender partner stepped in to hold these sessions with participants, with existing groups, Vicoba groups, existing and farmer groups, farmers unions, and to really understand and listen to what is going on, and to try and guide them through a process which then eventually would hopefully give us some changes to our metrics at the end. But as I said earlier, we've experienced institutional prejudices to at least the district government when we were trying to get this agreed and approved by the local government, district offices. They're saying, oh, this is gender. All of these projects coming through are about women. What about the men? What about the men? We need men's projects. Is that the projected? I just continue talking about what OWL were doing for us. They came up with a locally appropriate curriculum. Most of them have experience of working with, or at least, or even being a Sukuma female, and understanding what that is to them. So they came up with 5 modules. First of all, an introduction to gender, just to get the discussion going. An introduction to women in agriculture. They brought in local women doing actual farming projects, and that spoke through testimony of local business women. That said, that can do way more than any other interventions that we could do. Women in land rights, again, one of the directors is even trained, so she was able to fully understand and fully talk through and respond to the questions of land ownership in these local village communities. Our are also very strongly linked with the governments at district level as well, so they can go and have those higher level discussions with the gender officers and with the local community development officers. That's something that we kind of, it's difficult to go in the name of the church to have those conversations. Obviously we should be, as a church, lobbying and making change, but to have very highly qualified people going and having those discussions really helps. Sustainable partnerships was another one, so here's the list, CBCP. Sustainable partnerships, so that's, that's again like linking up your ways of your skills and your abilities to find markets, to find people to support you, to go and work with the government extension officers, and to really make a difference in your community. And then this fifth one, gender-based violence, was actually an addition that they were requested to put in by some of the communities. So that, obviously in our research we found that was the case, but to actually have the communities come forward and say, we want training on that, and for our to respond to that, was fantastic. Big win for the project. The innovation approach we took was really because the name of the hub is a centre for education and appropriate technology. We really wanted, and me as an engineer, I love going to the nani demonstrations in our region, and I really wanted to take that kind of agricultural demonstration show, the appropriate technology fair here, take that to the village. Those people are going to come here. And are we going to carry something there? Yes, if you're involved deeply, but how do the people that are outside of that influence really get to see and try it? So that was really something that was put on my heart, was to physically take something, anything, give it to them, take it, break it, use it, make it your own. What is it? This is a seed planter. Prototype A. It's just made from box section steel, a bit of rebar, a washer, motorcycle spring. Judith, trusty demonstrator. It's got a 30 centimetre guide on it, which kind of helps with maize planting. Just take it, have a look. We gave them a bit of seed. Go and try it at home. Come back with your suggestions. Teaching the concept of appropriate technology. What does it mean? What does it mean to have that step up? I really like the CCB concept that Harold was talking about yesterday. Listen to them, let them try it, let them break it, give them the tools, and develop something. And here you can see we've got some farmers who are also trying out drip irrigation. And so drip irrigation, tape and seed planters don't really mix that well together. Oh, okay, we've got a leak. How did that leak happen? Again, you give a farmer who's never seen something, they think, oh, which way do I hold it up? Okay, so you can see these awkward looking women thinking, oh, how do I ride it like a broom? What do I do? So it's really good just to give them something. And that was the idea of this project, not to sell seed planters, not to develop drip irrigation, but to give them the technology and to think about decision making. Do I like this? Don't I like it? Would I use it? Would I buy it? Can I change it to make it better for my height? I'm a small baby or I'm a tall. What can I do to it? So, and again, the really important thing was being low risk and high impact. We're giving them nothing to lose. Obviously, this is a bit of a dangerous ground now because we're talking about, are we giving handouts or are we giving a hand up? We're small, we're not doing massive damage. I don't think by giving 300 people an opportunity to try something, because that hopefully will grow into something that is a bit more organically, naturally developing. Let's talk a little bit about hubs. It doesn't have to be what you see here, a container. which was logistically a nightmare to find and then deliver. But part of the restriction of the grant was that it was not allowed to do any kind of building activity. So that was our response. This could be a car, a vehicle. This could be a brick building, a church office, somewhere where people can come, a safe space to come, neutral ground, to come and get seminars, get training, somewhere to lock up the equipment, just somewhere just to enable that system. And what we had the luxury of being able to install in these hubs were solar fridges. Again, a lot of this was worked through Sydney Solar. We had this idea of facilitating animal vaccines, so chicken vaccines, cow vaccines, somewhere secure to keep things, a solar TV system with lights to facilitate training, a notice board with posters, charging for tablet computers and phones, and a seed bank. So it's big dreams for 10 months, but it's, we've got these three locations, and we hope they're going to evolve into something a bit more locally replicable. That's a bit of a bigger picture. Regularly, twice a week, 30 people, 40 people come and receive some kind of training. Either official training through the hour system, or maybe ad hoc training, like Sydney Solar will come and teach on solar water pumping. Or we will go and teach about something that we've learned at an eco conference. Like it's a very flexible space. So one of the other partners, Thrive, they were very fantastic. During COVID, they already have a curriculum where trainers or interested people can come and learn about 4 key areas: organic farming, nutrition, medicinal plants, and business skills. And that was in-person training in, as I say, in Kenya, in Kitale. But during COVID, obviously everything shut down in Kenya, and they developed an online curriculum, which unfortunately for us was all in English. So part of this grant allowed us to translate that all into Swahili. So we are so fortunate to have that now. I can't remember how many hours of videos. It's probably 100 hours of excellent teaching, filmed by Kenyans in the farm, demonstrating composting, double digging methods, keyhole garden methods, all sorts of things like that. And the kitchen gardens for us in this project in 10 months have been a huge success. The idea of vertical farming in an area of land that you only just used to throw out your wastewater. You'll see now across Mwanza we've got about 150 keyhole gardens, which I'll show you a picture of. Yeah. This one in the bottom right is the idea of a keyhole garden. You just build up an area of land, you fill it with as much organic matter as you can, and you plant your crops in that. And then it's a really small, condensed area for you to micromanage. Water it, easy. Weed, easy. The other technologies, farming technologies, were life gardens, where the idea is as a community you will have 40 of these life gardens, which is enough to support the local community, with all of the leafy greens and interesting herbs and vegetables that you could possibly want to boost food security, to boost nutritional value, and to teach other people who walk by, what are you doing? The kids, this is how we're going to farm going forward. These sack gardens, vertical farming, it's brilliant. We've done a quick review of the financial, or the harvest data of farming on a 1 foot square. Obviously, you can plant one cabbage, one lettuce, but with vertical farming, you can plant 50. So that's a multiplication of 50, even 100. So yeah, again, very simple, very basic technologies. Which have been received very well. A little bit about appropriate technology. It's got to be locally available, affordable, culturally acceptable, labour and time saved, repairable, and reproducible in the local context. Something like this seed planter. This guy here in the picture is actually my day guard at home. And I thought, well, okay, let's try this for myself. Can I train somebody who's never welded before? to, I barely welded myself, but I have the equipment. Can I enable him to make this? And within 3 weeks, he's made 150. So, yeah, he's got a bit of a brain on him, but he's never touched a welder, never touched a grinder. So, it's appropriate technology. And, you know, the cost of it, maybe 10,000 shillings for the equipment. It's affordable. So, how am I doing for time?
10 minutes.
Oh, good. Excellent. So, again, what we were really touched by was creating good, solid, locally appropriate, locally derived information. So, again, I was prepared for doing the workshop, which I was going to pass these things around. But basically, we came up with a load of posters that we could then present or put on the container wall, and thank you. And just because one of the key gender barriers that we discovered was decision making in women. Not that they can't make decisions, but yeah, you can just make a decision. But how are you going to make a decision if you've got nothing to prompt your question? A seed planter on its own is not very useful to help you make a decision. Of course, if somebody's giving it to you, yeah, why not? Let's try it, low risk. But if you're given a choice of 2 or 3 or something else, like to guide somebody through making that decision, has been something that we've really tried to work on and establish. And a poster like this with some very simple questions that's on the side of the container. It says, okay, every time I need to make a decision now about choosing a seed type or choosing a technology, I can use this to kind of give you a prompt. Is it appropriate enough? Is it easy and lightweight, and do you enjoy to use it? Is it safe for humans? Is it safe for animals? Is it safe for the environment? Is it easy to maintain, to repair? And does it save you time? Does it save you energy or money? It's not a complete list, but it's just a starting point. And our team have spent a lot of time working with these participants to coach them through the decision-making process. So now they have a seed planter that they've tried. Some have had some great success using the seed planter. It saved them a lot of time. But you've then got to give them that opportunity to reflect on the traditional way of using my djembe, my hoe, or my panga, to jab a hole, to move on. Yeah, that's right. I can hire 5 people to do that in 3 hours. With a seed planter, I can do it myself in 4 hours. So I've saved some money. I don't need to rent or hire labourers to do it. Or maybe they think, no, I can't use this. I can't control the number of seeds. I wouldn't have evidence to see that it's been planted because it covered the whole over with some. So, there's opportunity to say that. Okay. So just quickly now, I'm going to go through a couple of the other technologies that we introduced. So when you turn up in a village with a bucket, everyone says, yeah, bucket. And then you get your drill out and you drill a hole in the bucket and they say, no! You committed some horrible crime. So that facilitates the drip line. The idea of this again is like, it's not a perfect system, but it's an introduction to a technology which is well established in the kind of agricultural, agribusiness world, but no one has ever seen it in the village, in their farm. So could they adopt it? Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. So what we do is we issue them with, put that there without interfering, and then we give them a load of the connectors. And one of the joys of giving them something that is DIY, build it yourself, is that they look at it and they think, I'm going to break this. And you say, I don't care if you break it. In fact, let's get some scissors out, let's cut it up into pieces. You say, whoa. So it's flexible, it's fun watching them assemble it, put it together, because it's a different kind of strength that they need to do it. It's not about removing maize from the cob strength, it's a different finger strength. And they all said, djembe, mkono ni djembe. My arms are like spades, they're like, I can't do this kind of work. So to really to give them something that they can look at, to try and to break, to fix together, has been great. Again, very positive feedback, but will people adopt it? Hopefully that's something we can develop as an extension project. We give them enough just to do about 40 metres worth of planting, which isn't enough to save the world, but it's enough to give them an opportunity to see it. Again, posters to facilitate a decision-making process. You look at some statistics, it reduces your water usage in that area of land by 50%, and it increases your yield by 100%. I don't know if that's true, but give it a go. Importantly, give them some negative aspects that they might have to consider. Seed planters, again, I talked about them already. Cassava press, something that in Sukuma land they eat a lot of cassava, but they have their traditional ways of doing it. What if they try or see a new technology? Would they adopt it? So water pumps and solar are able to facilitate us with that. Very simple, very portable, very portable. The size of, the pump is weighted, the size of the projector. The panel is a briefcase panel that you can carry, no security issue. The hose pipe is 100 meters. Obviously then, you can't irrigate a massive farm with that, but you can fill a bucket. Again, everyone loves it. City Solar have credit systems that allow you to pay as you go to access it. Happy pictures, people growing carrots, which they don't normally do. And interesting, I put this picture in because I was sent some pictures of some people happily parading their carrots, and I thought they don't look very nice. I wouldn't buy them in a shop. What's the issue there? So again, you go on their website, you find some interesting, or even Kulima Bunifu website, you find all the information you need to know to answer their question. Never tell you, how do you solve the problem? Okay, let's make a poster. Organic methods of answering a real life question. I don't know if any of this works because I can see the testimonies of other people through established networks, so I can give that knowledge over to them. I guess then in summary, did we empower over 10 months? How can we answer that realistically? But according to our metric, we started with an average score in the kind of 18 to 40-year-olds of 6.1, so they answered 6 of those questions, yes. And by the end, on average, 6.8. So there's been an increase of empowerment levels, and obviously through focus groups and deeper discussion to find out whether there's been any real empowerment. I love this picture because this is a young lady, Antonia. She was one of our master trainers, and she is here speaking to 5 or 6 male pastors about everything she has learned, and that's just really good. Food security is the final point, I guess. Again, we've shown increase by asking these standard questions of have you ever skipped a meal, things like that, of food security levels from 29% answering yes, that they are food secure, to 58% by the end of the project, they have some level of food security, mostly around variety of food. More pictures we should be able to see once this goes online, but is people proudly presenting lots of green, luscious farms that are inside their small domestic areas, which have never been farmed before. Next steps. We want to hand this over to the local communities. They're getting 10 million shillings worth of equipment. They're not going to say no to that, but what are they going to use it for? That's what we're going to do next, is empowering them to make good decisions about using the solar fridge, using all this equipment that we've given. We're going to commit to mentoring and building the capacity of those trainers, and then finally